and welcome to Speaker Spotlight.
Hi, good afternoon.
It is so lovely to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been so busy at the moment. Tell us a bit about the work that you do.
So I do a lot of work in mental health and inclusion, and a lot of my time is spent working in the education world because there is a high level of need, and my most recent background is in that. And I just spend a lot of time working with schools and working with staff on how to support the mental health of children, how to deal with this um, rise of anxiety that everybody is concerned about, but also about adult mental health and how we have an impact on it. So most of my time is spent online training or traveling and going to places and seeing people.
It's that side of neurodiversity and dyslexia that people don't see, and it's something I'm a champion for, and I'm so grateful that there's people like you out there doing the job that you do, Sam, because it's the side of things that people don't see.
It's not. And a lot of mental health people kind of stay away from things like dyslexia and neurodiversity and ASC because they're like, oh no, I don't know, how do I need specialists and what should I do? And that's such a shame, really, because there is a higher need because being divergent, I can't even say it this afternoon, it does put you statistically at a higher risk of suffering from a mental health issue. Anxiety is the most common one. So the need and the support is there. And the support doesn't have to be complicated or, massively any different. And that's one of the things I try to get across with a lot of people is that mental health isn't rocket science. It's really not complicated. And a lot of people are very fearful, oh, I don't want to do any damage. And sometimes by not addressing and talking about it, you do more damage than by saying the wrong thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a mental health first aid. I'm also a suicide first aid. And the first thing you do in any of that training is how to start that conversation
Yeah,
and do it safely.
yeah,
And actually not as scary as people say. I think you've summed it up perfectly there, Sam. It's not as
yeah,
you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have all these letters attached to your name. It's so simple and so effective.
yeah. And that's the key. It's the everyday people in children's lives, in adults' lives. They're the ones making the difference, not the ones with the letters after the names doing, 1 hour a week counselling. Yes, that is incredibly helpful. But the main people are the day-to-day people who are there and who are providing support and building the relationship with. They're the key people that really are the most important in lives.
Absolutely. And with neurodiversity, there's so many like those factors that comes with
Mm,
mental health, and you are at that high risk of burnout as well. What
yes.
and with masking especially, what can be some of the signs that somebody who maybe aware has neurodiversity or is dyslexic, what could some of the telltale signs be that they might be struggling if they're masking their symptoms? What could some of the signs be?
There's lots of signs, and it really depends on the person. I think a lot of people don't understand the element of fatigue is huge with masking. So they'll be like, oh, they're okay at work, they're okay at school, but when they get home, they're absolutely wiped out and unable to do anything else, and that's not right. And just because you see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I actually suffer with depression. I'm a bubbly person, and people's like, well, what have you got to be depressed about? That's ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point of mental health issues, really. It's, you wouldn't say, well, how have you got a broken leg? What do you do? But I think it is the utter fatigue in the effort of trying to mask, of trying to appear. I don't like the word normal, but the word socially acceptable, because I'm afraid the pressures are on neurodivergent children and adults to do that very wrongly. And it is just exhausting. And then a lot of these things come out in physical illnesses, and we know so much more now, the science that it is linked, physical and mental health is linked, which is one of the things I'm going to go and talk about at the show. Is that you will get cold sores and you will get palpitations, and panic attacks aren't made up out of your head. They are real physical symptoms as a result of a mental health issue and anxiety and exhaustion. It's just tiring, isn't it?
It is, and the body holds the score. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's like you say, you can only mask it, if you will, for so long, and
Yeah.
especially women. I mean, I hold my hands up to this. I can mask at times, to blend in, to appear neurotypical, but it's okay to not have it together. It's okay to let that mask
Yes.
up. So what would your advice be, Sam, to somebody who's dyslexic or neurodiverse? They may be struggling at the moment. What would your advice be to them?
Oh, there's lots of, but the key is to love who you are, and be around people who love you for who you are, and they don't place any sort of measure on the skills that your dyslexia may affect, because I think that's the problem. Is I see it on social media, people sort of making spelling corrections on somebody. It's like, oh, well, that means I'm obviously intellectually superior to you, because, and I'm like, just jog on, because get out of here. That's you just because you know how to spell, it's not a necessarily indication, and it doesn't mean that because you can spell you're of higher value as a person to society. It makes me so cross, that's the case. So it's very much a case of working on improving your self-esteem and recognizing, that how you feel, you're not alone. You're not the only one. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just sort of wired differently and you perceive things differently. And, I like a lot of the talk where they say it's embrace it as a superpower, because let's look at the good things you can do, not the bad things that, well, not the bad things, but the challenging things you can't do. Nobody stands up and says, well, Sam can't do this, Sam can't do that. And it's like, well, Sam can do this and Sam can do that. That's what we need to focus on. Change your sort of bias as to your perception to yourself.
Absolutely. And that's what the Dyslexia Show is all about. Not only a
Yeah.
safe space to educate people about dyslexia and neurodiverse conditions, but also it's a chance to celebrate the superpowers that come
Yeah.
with being
Huge.
dyslexic and neurodiverse. So we're so excited to have you on board. I just think
Can't wait.
out of all the talks, I shouldn't really say this, but because I'm so passionate about mental health, I'm
Yeah.
so excited to hear your expertise.
Thank you.
What can people expect to hear, Sam, when you see you?
What they can expect to hear is direct feel, sort of some laughter, because we have to laugh in life. No patronizing, trite advice. I don't trot out the eat well, sleep well, exercise sort of stuff, because I just find that a little bit patronizing at times, when really I'm struggling with my mental health. Eating a bowl of kale isn't going to fix that for me. So it's very much real practical advice, and I don't tell people what to do. I just give them things to think about, and very much hopefully empower you or people around you. Go and try stuff for your mental health. Do what makes you feel good. Cut the self-criticism, cut the crap that you speak to yourself on a daily basis, and come along and let's work together on recognizing how amazing you are, because everybody's amazing.
I love that. Oh, it honestly, it's music to my ears to hear this, because
Fabulous. Yeah,
it is, because like you say, we hear it all the time, but
you
actually
do.
it's easy said than done, but it's putting it into practice as well.
Yeah, come and join me, and we will carry on the movement of self-love and self-appreciation, and just sometimes saying, just get lost. You make me feel crap, just get lost. I'm not interested.
That's where
you
your
know
boundaries come from, and
yeah,
that self-care is, some people, it's a fact of life, aren't good for you, and some
yeah.
environments aren't good for you, and you've got to be selfish and to actually, do you know what, this isn't working for me.
No, the way sometimes people speak to themselves, if somebody else spoke to you that way, you wouldn't speak to them ever again. And yet, let's be our own best friend, not our own worst enemy. Let's be our biggest cheerleader. That's what I want people to be and to be able to do.
I love that ending. So Sam, where can people find you in the meantime, because the show's not till March? Where can people find you?
So I'm all over social media, with my company Balanced People Limited, all over the shop. I've got a website. I've also got a website under my name, Samantha Garner. But I would say through Balanced People is the best place to sort of find me and some of the stuff I'm doing, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I think they're the main ones. Not on Twitch as yet, but who knows. But yeah, go and have a look at those.